Thank you for joining me for this Ultimate Yasuo guide, where we will be learning about everyone's favorite samurai, Yasuo. So without further ado, we'll start with an introduction to the champion and the pros and cons. Yasuo is my main, and he's been my main for almost 2 years now, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. After level 7 mastery and 700k experience on him, I still am learning new things. Every few months I find just a little thing I could do, or one animation cancel I didn't know about. There's always something to learn with the champion. So starting with the pros, high outplay and snowball potential. If Yasuo manages to get a kill in lane, you are going to snowball. Late game, there really is no one that Yasuo can't 1v1, even in a fair fight. Even if you don't end up getting fed, by late game, you will be able to 1v1 anyone in the game, if played and built correctly. He's extremely fun to play, I'll get to the second point, but difficult to master, so you're going to enjoy some meat that you can chew on for a long time, and keep improving little by little. In the back of your head, it'll be teaching you to work with combos and memorize those and use the different combos for the right situation. He's got great burst damage and a decent amount of AoE, especially if you end up picking up Static Shiv, which makes his wave clear exceptional. Extremely effective split pusher, as I mentioned before. He can 1v1 almost anyone at any stage of the game. Of course, this is only as long as you build him correctly and play properly. Yasuo is a high-risk, high-reward champion, which means that you will need a certain amount of skill to play him effectively, and the slightest mistake is a guaranteed kill. The next major pro to playing Yasuo is the low cooldowns. All of his abilities are on extremely low cooldown. At max necessary level, in attack speed, Yasuo's Q will be on a 3.33 second cooldown. His wind wall will be about 20 seconds. And his dash is on a 0.1 second cooldown, where his ultimate goes all the way down to 30 seconds at max rank. So whenever you have a fight, all the tools you need will be available to you.
No resources.
All the abilities that Yasuo has cost no mana or energy, which means you can spam them as much as necessary to harass and bully in lane. And lastly, nearly infinite scaling. He scales into the game extremely well. Even if you do poorly in the early game, sit back and farm, you're gonna catch up. He's not like Riven or Diana, who will start to fall off. If you get crushed early enough, they will be useless for the entire game. With Yasuo, he's going to get to that damage power spike and be relevant again. With that out of the way, let's get started on the cons to playing Yasuo. So firstly, he's hard countered by almost anyone in the game who can bring mass amounts of consistent upfront burst damage. This is bad for Yasuo, and you definitely want to avoid this because it doesn't allow him to kite, it doesn't allow him to live in the fight long enough to get to his ultimate and deal that damage to kill the enemy. So that upfront burst damage is a serious problem for Yasuo. Examples would be like LeBlanc or Fizz. Next would be armor. Armor in the early game is very bad for Yasuo. For example, if you're going up against, say, Maokai or Darius, if they start building armor, stacking armor early, you're going to have a hard time killing them. Now, if you can get to your ultimate and you've got enough lifesteal, you won't have a problem. But you're still going to need to do your best to get an early lead if you want to be able to duel them consistently. Until you get to the late game, of course. And then you'll be able to get lifesteal and pen, and you'll still be dealing with them perfectly fine, just like you would any other champion, having enough lifesteal and an armor pen to kill them and keep your health up while you're fighting them. The next con would be hard CC, specifically targeted hard CC, things that are going to be very hard for Yasuo to avoid. If there's a Taric, 9 times out of 10 you're going to be able to dodge that. It's not going to be a huge deal, his stun. But if you're up against an Amumu, someone with a massive AoE CC, that's going to be a huge problem for him. Another thing, when you're ulting in, if you're not careful, that 1 second when you're in your ulti animation, you're extremely vulnerable to targeted CC because you're just standing there, just waiting to get locked down. And then the moment the ulti finishes, if you haven't played carefully, you're gonna get CC'd and you're gonna die almost instantly as the team turns on you. So hard CC of any kind can be a huge problem for Yasuo, especially since he's naturally so glass cannon. Thank you for watching, and feel free to follow me on minds.com, youtube.com, and twitter.com. Oh, and don't press that button.